Good morning, everyone. Good morning, and welcome to our online service for the Unitarian Church of Staten Island. I am the Reverend Emily D. Tarbert, pronoun she, her, hers, and I'm grateful to be with all of you on Zoom this morning. As we're on Zoom, we ask that you mute whenever possible, though, of course, we want you to introduce yourself and say hello in the chat box this morning. Welcome from the comfort of your homes, wherever you are and however you are feeling. Wherever you're seeing this from, however you got into this virtual space, I want to welcome you into this sanctuary. I begin our service today with words adapted from Sophia Leinfau's. Some beliefs are like walled gardens. They encourage exclusiveness and the feeling of being especially privileged. Other beliefs are expansive and lead the way to wider and deeper sympathies. Some beliefs are like shadows, clouding children's days and fears of unknown calamities. Other beliefs are like sunshine, blessing children with the warmth of happiness. Some beliefs are divisive, separating the saved from the unsaved, friends from enemies. Other beliefs are bonds in a world community, where sincere differences beautify the pattern. Some beliefs are like blinders, shutting off the power to choose one's own direction. Other beliefs are like gateways, opening wide vistas for exploration. Some beliefs weaken a person's selfhood. They blight the growth of resourcefulness. Other beliefs nurture self-confidence and enrich the feeling of personal worth. Some beliefs are rigid, like the body of death, impotent in a changing world. Other beliefs are pliable, like the young sapling, ever growing with the upward thrust of life. In the spirit of these words, and in those beliefs that are pliable, that are like sunshine, let us gather to worship this morning.
We light this chalice in the search for truth and the spirit of love. We unite in worship and fellowship. As an extension of lighting our chalice, I want to take a moment of silence to light 3 candles for some of the names of those who have recently been affected by police brutality. We cannot cover all of the names of those afflicted, but I will light a candle for the life of Lanil Frazier, for the life of Demetrius Stanley, and for the life of Ryan LaRue. May these lights be a symbol of our commitment to continue the work of racial justice and to proclaim that Black lives matter.
Thank you so much, Ruth. Thank you. And now we will sing our opening hymn for the beauty of the earth. We will have pre-recorded Kevin singing and I will be singing along, but I invite you to mute so that you can sing along from home. The lyrics will be shared and broadcasted on our screen this morning. One moment while we get everything together. Okay. Thank you, everyone. For the beauty of the earth, for the splendor of the skies, for the love which from our birth over and around us lies, source of all to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the joy of ear and eye, for the heart and mind's delight, for the mystic harmony, linking sense to sound and sight, source of all to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the wonder of each hour of the day and of the night, hill and vale and tree and flower, sun and moon and stars of light, source of all to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the joy of human care, sister, brother, parent, child, for the kinship we all share, for all gentle thoughts and mild, source of all to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise.
Now is the time in our service where we invite you to speak aloud your joys and sorrows. If you're visiting with us for the first time, this is the time when you can introduce yourself, if you want to, and tell us a little bit about yourself. You can write your joys and concerns in the chat below your screen, or you can speak them aloud.
Hello, my joy is in being here today. And that is all. Thank you.
It's a joy to see you with glasses on.
Thank you. Finally. Thanks, Mike.
You're welcome.
It's a joy to see the names that are on the screen. It's good to see faces too. Marilyn and Jim, it's great to see your faces this morning. I see John Walker, Harry Hicks, Ralph, and Mary Hernandez are with us this morning. That's wonderful. David Jones, I see you too with Sally. Thank you for being the tech assistant, associate or assistant. And Beatrice, it's also good to see your name here this morning. Chris, it's good to see you. It's good to see everyone. Any other joys or sorrows, things on our hearts we'd like to share as a community?
I'm glad that the women from our church who are up in Seneca Falls are having a wonderful time and we're able to explore the roots of the suffragette movement and have a good time in the process.
That's lovely. That's lovely.
Which is why they're not here this morning.
I inferred. I'm just grateful that in the busyness of this season, at least for me, for some reason, September of 2021 feels rather busy. I'm grateful in the busyness of the season, we still gather together in the way, whatever ways we can with each other. Grateful to see you all.
Mhm.
And Mary, I know that your screen is muted, and so are you, your voice is muted. You don't have to come online. I'm just thinking of you as you continue to deal with the effects of Ida, as your basement continues to get renovated and get better prepared from storm damage. So just know that we're continuing to send our thoughts your way, Mary.
You're muted, Mary.
Thank you, Emily. I appreciate it so much.
Yeah. And to other people, I'm just thinking of those who are sick or who continue to need healing. I know that Sue is getting surgery. I know that Carolyn is recovering from vocal surgery, which is why all of the music has been pre-recorded for this service. So again, she's healing fine. It seems like it's going well, but send her some healing thoughts as she continues to heal from that surgery. I know Sue is preparing for knee replacement? Yeah.
He had it a week ago or so
Okay.
and is doing rather well. We spoke to
I'm
her.
grateful. I'm grateful. I'm sorry that my memory has been questionable in
okay.
the last couple of weeks. But I knew it was like knee replacement's happening or happened. So I'm grateful that it happened and that she's safe
Right.
and recovering. I know others are continuing. Mike, is Maureen's appointment on the schedule? Did she already have it?
She end of October
End of October. Okay. We'll be setting thoughts for her.
for her knee replacement probability.
Yeah.
I'll share a joy that yesterday I went to the Women's March in Staten Island. That was part of the nationwide protest of these types of laws that are being installed in Texas against a woman's right to choose. And it was very, very inspirational that there were not just the same old crowd of women, but a lot of young people. And it was organized by some young women who were very enthusiastic. And we marched from the Alice Austin House to Borough Hall.
Oh,
And it was a very uplifting gathering.
that's lovely.
Great.
I'm so grateful to hear that, especially as we continue to deal with the effects in our nation with rather, may I say, archaic laws regarding bodies and the difficult choices that come with our bodies. So grateful to hear that. And grateful that there continue to be new generations of activism that continue to carry the light of justice, that demand a world with autonomy and care.
And the women from our church joined the Seneca Falls rally for the same thing that Mary was part of.
Wonderful.
It's wonderful.
And it was spirited from what I was told this morning. And actually, the governor spoke there briefly at the beginning of it as well.
Oh,
Any last joys or sorrows to share this morning? Let us enter into a spirit of meditation and reflection this morning. O Spirit of life and love, we gather again as a community, sharing the moments of our lives, sharing the things that make us human. We share our past or upcoming surgeries, our thoughts of healing and reflections for those whose bodies are mending. Our thoughts go with the spread of injustice, creating laws on those who have uteruses. And so we continue to fight for justice and are grateful for advocating for the autonomy, empowerment, and liberation of people who have uteruses, people who some identify as women and others don't. We're grateful for spaces where we can continue carrying the light. And we're grateful for spaces that cultivate a moment of thankfulness in this life. For the moments of life, the joys of being in community, of sharing with each other, of sharing the flowers and the sunshine. For all these things and for more, we are grateful. May it be so. Now, once again, I will share the pre-recorded beautiful stylings of Kevin and Carolyn along with singing for our middle hymn, Though I May Speak with Bravest Fire. You will see the lyrics on your screen and you will hear me sing them aloud. Thank you, everyone. With bravest fire and have the gift to all inspire and have not love, my words are vain as sounding brass and hopeless gain. Though I may give all I possess in striving soul, my love profess, but not begin my love within. The prophet soon turned strangely thin. Come, Spirit, come, our heart's control, our spirit long to be made whole. Let inward love guide every deed. By this we worship and are free.
Today's reading is from Ralph Waldo Emerson. A person will worship something, have no doubt about that. We may think our tribute is paid in secret in the dark recesses of our hearts, but it will out. That which dominates our imaginations and our thoughts will determine our lives and our character. Therefore, it behooves us to be careful what we worship. For what we are worshiping, we are becoming.
Thank you, Ruth. A person will worship something. Have no doubt about that. Well, recently, in the last few years, I have doubted and wondered if a person does worship. There is less and less interest in organized religion for a number of reasons that many of us here, especially in Unitarian Universalist churches, might know or feel personally. The harm of religious institutions that has done to others is evident. The antiquated creeds that seem too stiff and inflexible for our lived realities, simply the lack of interest. Why come on a Sunday morning to hear someone drone on for 20 minutes? I'm not giving myself any props here. And born and raised Unitarian Universalist, I grew up wondering why people worshipped. Why would people go to church? Well, even asking that of my own family. Growing up in this faith that feels fairly, well, churchy. We have a sermon sandwich with hymns, while having a father and a family legacy of humanism and atheism. If we aren't worshiping God, why was my family worshiping together at all? Why wouldn't we just stay at home? But growing up, something happened on Sundays. My mother made food in the kitchen. My father helped counting the members at my church. I met up with my friends. I had a community. But even more than that, I had adults, peers, and children surrounding me, asking me large questions. I had a space of exploration and inspiration. I had ministers in my life, everyone who was humanist to atheist to theist and in between, who all teached and preached from the heart about life, justice, leaving space for us to imagine a different and better world than the one we have. I've said this before, but I was one of the lucky ones. One with a wild imagination and a spirit of reverence for the natural world and my community around me. I ended up falling in love with Sundays. They ended up being my escape from my everyday world. Because I liked who I was on Sundays. Sundays was about something more than just me. So here I am, a Unitarian Universalist minister, and sometimes I feel estranged, like I'm the strange one for liking Sundays. Here I am watching the world grow cold on organized religion, all for good reasons. But sometimes I'm left wondering, what are people doing instead? A person will worship something. Have no doubt about that. Before we go further, let's get to the root of what I mean by worship in this context. Worship isn't always a word that Unitarian Universalists like. It brings up connotations like submission. It can sometimes represent power, and generally means worshiping a god or gods, which doesn't really sit well in a faith tradition that has a majority of humanist, atheist, and agnostic people. As Unitarian Universalists, we have a worship service every Sunday. There are plenty of people who bristle at the word worship. And honestly, no one really agrees exactly on what we're worshiping together. Our faith traditions and our worship services don't look the same as other faiths. In other faith traditions, what they worship is pretty literal. It's reflected in their prayers, in their songs, in the creeds that they recite. In other faith traditions, it's pretty clear and easy to define what they mean by worship. But when I look at the dictionary definition, as I refer to Merriam-Webster, it defines worship as the feeling or expression of reverence and adoration. Reverence. Reverence feels larger than any particular creed or any particular set of beliefs. Reverence asks us, what do we hold to be sacred? How do we live in a way that honors what is meaningful? So when Unitarian Universalists gather to worship, we are cultivating reverence. Reverence for life, reverence for community, reverence for the mysteries inside the molecules that surround us each and every day. A reverence for all that is our human life. A person will worship something. Have no doubt about that. Looking around our culture and world and where we are today, The markings of what humanity has worshipped over time is etched quite literally into the earth. It could be etched by the stones in Stonehenge, or it could be etched by the machines that have dug the coal mines for so many years. I'm sure you've heard me speak before on some of the ways of what our society values. If we look around, we can see so many idols. Money, productivity, beauty standards, the false construct of the American dream, the bootstraps that we're meant to pull ourselves up by, or even the structures of white supremacy that some cling to for identity, privilege, and power. Ralph Waldo Emerson wasn't the only one to name that people will worship something. James Luther Adams also reflected on this in his essay, A Faith for the Free. He points towards all kinds of beliefs that are vying for our commitments and allegiance. He says, quote, "What moves a person now is more important than their creed or their atheism. What moves a person and gives meaning, direction to their life, their struggles, and their foibles." If we look closely enough, there are thousands of things we give our reverence to simply by living them. Who are we becoming? How are we living in this world, and what beliefs are manifesting in what we embody? I ask this because I have this very soft voice of fear that something will happen, or maybe is already happening. That we're living in a society where people no longer are interested in examining the beliefs that are handed to them. This may seem ironic now that I've just told you about the lack of interest in organized religion. I know that people are examining and questioning the religious beliefs that have been handed for them from institutions. And they should be examined. Examining the beliefs of organized religion is so vital. All faith traditions should be tested against conscience, against morality, against the events of our natural life here and now. Our statements of belief aren't meant to be tablets etched and never changing, or like Sophia Loin-Faz said, something dead and impotent. They're meant to be young and pliable, things that are tested and changing over time. So I am grateful that we are in a time that people are examining the beliefs of our religious institutions. But I wonder if people are examining the beliefs given by our society's institutions just as rigorously. The beliefs that are handed to us from our world, by our governments, by our educational resources, by our economy. I have this slight worry that we have been pushed so fast and so far, and we're all so busy just trying to survive that we no longer take the time to examine what is it we're actually given our reverence to, or if we're living with reverence at all. I fear that people are no longer interested in reverence and asking the large questions of life, like, what is my purpose? What is ultimately meaningful in my life? What do you, or I, or we most value? How do we honor each other's humanity? How do we honor the inherent beautiful gift that is our earth? It's hard to try to convince anyone to ask these kinds of questions if everyone is just so stuck struggling to get to the next paycheck. And yet, for all of this busyness, we've seen in the last 2 years that it's because of those things our society has worshipped but not examined, that we're in systems that are broken. We're now facing an ecological crisis. We're in the middle of a worldwide pandemic and in the middle of an endemic of racism in our country that seems to never end, while the infrastructures and social nets that used to uphold so many crumble away. Where is the reverence for life in our institutions? Where is the respect and adoration of our natural world in our economy? Where is the valuing of our common humanity in our healthcare systems? What is our society worshiping? A person will worship something, have no doubt about that. I don't know all of your personal beliefs. Maybe you are really feeling strong and certain in the answers that you have for the larger questions of life. Maybe you're just figuring it out. Maybe you identify as atheist, humanist, Jewish, Buddhist, Christian, theist, or I don't know it. When I gather with you, specific personal beliefs, though important, personal motivators, are not what hold me to this community. It is the way that we together, across our differences, cultivate reverence. It's how we live into the questions together. How we see the beauty of this one unique, incredible life we hold. In a world where ecosystems are failing, where we've had struggles around human health, or our common ability for people to pursue happiness and sustain basic needs, it is even more vital to create spaces that help ground people in the things we value across difference. It is even more vital now to encourage a reverence for all that is human love and the mystery and wonders of this life. Sometimes people ask me, what makes Unitarian Universalist communities different than, say, a social justice club or a building where we hear college lectures? One of my answers: worship. We create a service that cultivates reverence. We ask the deeper questions. We encourage spiritual growth and enable mutual interdependence and responsibility for our role in building a world of justice. Together as a community, the Unitarian Church of Staten Island is more than the people who know each other. And for as much as I love talking about community and how vital community is, we are more than a community. We are, for better or for worse, a religious institution, a place where we come together to revere the beautiful gifts of life. And I am so grateful for that. I am grateful that Unitarian Universalist communities exist. In a world so desperate for reminders of what is beautiful and meaningful and good across creeds, we could use a bunch of people celebrating those reminders, creating space to value the life we are fortunate enough to live. So whatever specific beliefs you may have, may we together take the time to cultivate reverence. Because for as much as our worlds and our systems may be convincing us, vying for our attention for what beliefs are most important, this life does not come by more than once. And every moment of it is a precious one. Precious from the nanoseconds that pass within it to the telegraphed messages of light years away that signals in the stars we cannot even see. You cannot count the billions of cells in your hands. You cannot measure a touch of family or friend. And you can see around you in the objects, the ordinary objects that surround you, stories and legacies of people's hands and work and love. There is so much available to us to ground us in the amazement of this wild, fragile, and beautiful life. So it means that we are called to be even more careful for what we are worshiping. For what we are worshiping, we are becoming. What we cast our reverence to will become our legacy. May we build that legacy together in the beauty and amazement of this life. May it be so. And amen.
Now is the time in our order of service where we take an offering. We know it is the gifts that all of us give that help support our ability to thrive and to gather online. Links and instructions will be posted in the chat. You can mail us a check or donate to our PayPal giving page. Please give as generously as you can. Our offering will be gratefully received.
What you sow, you will reap. Reap what you sow. What you plant in your life will surely grow. And what you grow with love will surely bloom. And the fruit of your labor will come back to you.
What you sow, you will reap. Reap what you sow. What you plant in your life will surely grow. And what you grow with love will surely bloom. And the fruit of your labor will come back to you. Come back to you. Do not tire from doing good. And never give up.
Never give up
When the road gets rough, for one day soon a great reward you'll see from the good you've done. When the harvest comes, when the harvest comes.
What you sow, you will reap. Reap what you sow. What you plant in your life will surely keep till you achieve the things you're striving for. And taste the joy. And taste the joy. You'll taste the joy of your reward.
Come taste the joy of your reward.
What you sow, you will reap. Reap what you sow. What you plant in your life will surely grow. And what you grow with love will surely bloom. And the fruit of your labor will come back to you.
What you grow with love will surely bloom, and the fruit of your labor will come back to you,
Come back to you.
And now we shall sing our closing hymn, Blue Boat Home. Give me one moment to get things queued up for you. All right. I will be singing along with Kevin, who's been pre-recorded, And we invite you to mute to sing along from home for one of my favorite hymns, Blue Boat Home. Though below me I feel no motion, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean, still my dry land heart can say, I've been sailing all my life now, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. Sun, my sail, and moon, my rudder, as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep, drifting here with my ship's companions, all we pilgrim souls, making our way by the light of the heavens in our beautiful blue boat home. I give thanks to the waves upholding me, hail the great winds urging me on, greet the infinite sea before me, sing the sky my sailor song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home.
Extinguishing the Chalice. I invite you to join with me in extinguishing our chalice. Please repeat with me, if you know the words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. For these we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
A person will worship something. May we be mindful of what we worship. May we continue to practice cultivating reverence together so that our life's moments are cherished and we can build a better world for others. May it be so, and amen.